This conference will now be recorded.
So we are into STLC phases, and we started with test sign in, test planning, test analysis, and test design, test execution, result analysis, bug tracking. So till yesterday, it was all up to bug tracking being completed. So we have only few topics left now. That is test reporting, right? Regression testing, UAT testing, and signing it off over here. Reporting, in a sense, whatever you have completed or uncompleted or incompleted, right? So those need to be reported to your management, that is to your leads, which we are talking about test report. And here in the test report, we'll be working on documents, and those are of three types. One is test log documents, specify number of test cases passed, number of test cases failed, and number of test cases unexecuted. Now, which are being passed, we are able to know, right? We are clearly seeing in this document which are being passed, we can say. Which are being failed, why it gets failed based on your comparison between expected and actual value. That is what we are going to see. But which are unexecuted? Now, which are the test cases you can specify those are unexecuted? The test cases which are being given low priority or least priority, right? So for those, currently I will not do the execution. I'm going to do the execution only for those which have been given high priority test cases over there. So that will be as specified as number of test cases unexecuted. This all will be put into your test log document. Whereas another document is NTR. Normal test report document, right? This is a normal test report document, or also called as build test report document. Other name for this is build test report document, which specifies all the test cases related to that corresponding build, right? I'll put one line like this for you. Right. A report prepared once the build testing is completed. Once the build testing is completed. So we are not talking about the entire project or a product or a complete application. We are talking about a part of that. So the build is being prepared. So the build is being tested. So we complete it. So we prepare a document called as build test report document or a normal test report document, right? If we are working on a last document, last build, that we call it as final test report document, right? A report prepared once the final build testing is completed, right? For the final application, final build there. So once the final is being completed, then the entire product will be completed. Then we can release the corresponding product. That is what it says over there. And how is the template looking like over here? Right? Test report template. Right. What does it has over here? Right. Module wise, build wise we are going. So then build number it has, right? Build number or a module number, right? Name, I'll put it as author name over here. Who is working on to that particular build, right? If there is any version number for the build, put up a version number also, right? What are the activities being done by the test engineer or by the team there, right? And what are the roles they are playing, roles and responsibilities, whatever abilities over here, right? And what else? If there is any defect raised over here, because we said number of test cases failed, right? Defect ID for that particular, right? So these are some column names I'll be using it under my test report documents over there. Either it is a final test report document, otherwise it is a normal test report document here, right? So we come down to the next phase now of STLC. So the test reporting was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th phase of STLC. Now we'll come down to UAT, user acceptance testing, right? This will be your 9th phase of STLC. This is what we will discuss here, UAT testing. Now for that discussion, we'll start talking about process of UAT over here. Now what is the process here? We'll put it into, right? The first thing is prepare UAT plan, which is again based on implicit requirements, and these requirements which are provided by customer sorry, I'll put one line like this, not in this manner. UAT is conducted with implicit requirements which are collected from customer, sorry, not customer, end user and customer. This is what it is, right? Implicit requirements are based on the references of the user requirements over here, right? Another point, in case of test engineer is asked to conduct UAT, that is with reference of user acceptance criteria, right? That is what it is. With the reference of user acceptance criteria, the UAT will be evenly conducted by test engineers also, right? You might be given that role also sometimes, so it will be put in that case. A UAT test report must be prepared here. right? And ensure the testing team is signed off by the responsibility. When I'm talking about signing off, will be my last phase of STLC. Right. So your responsibilities as a test engineer must deliver all deliveries, that is documents related to the corresponding project. Documents related to the project. Right. So test engineer must be rolled off by test lead. Test engineer, I'll put one line like this. Some of the test engineers will be assigned to another project, kept on same project, or kept on bench, right? So some of the test signing off points I put it in this case over, right? Even TL ni kuda oka line lagi itla close cheyochu, put one line. Test lead must be rolled off by quality lead also, right? Entirely the team is going to closing of the project over here. This is how we close our STLC topic. Right. Is there any query here? All clear? Till here, do you have any queries? Idi okay ante nenu vere daniki. Yes, ma'am. You're asking me something. Sure, Pakka. Is the screen clear for you? Clear kanabartunda? Your people's eyesight is clear? Doubt kuda nene raise cheyali. నేను ఏది చెప్తే అది వినుకుంటూ పోతే కష్టమే మేడం. సార్ గోపాల్, are you there? ఈ డౌట్ రాలేదా? నేను అట్లా ఏది చెప్పుకుంటా పోతున్నా అంటే రేపు ఏబిసిడీలు వీళ్ళు కూడా స్టార్ట్ చేస్తాం. మరి ఇది కూడా టెస్టింగ్ అనుకోని ఇంటరా? Yes. Now what is regression testing? That is in the list of the phases over there. Notes lo kuda undi. Do we need to do that regression testing or not? Or we did the regression testing? So what is regression testing then? Yes, under levels of testing, under system testing, we have used one testing technique called as regression testing, which we said as re-executing on a modified build. We calling it as regression testing. But there are types of regression and levels of regression over here, which we did not discuss at that stage over here. First, we'll see the types of regressions. So types of regressions are two for you. First one is executing failed test case. Now, what is mean by this? Executing a failed test case over here. That is to ensure the reported defect is rectified or not. For that purpose, we are trying to do this execution under regression is failed test. And there is another one is executing dependent test cases. Now, what is this dependent test cases? To ensure if there are any new defects raised, if any new defects raised due to the rectification of old. That is what your two types of regressions will be. But what are the levels over here? We have different levels. One is normal regression. Normal regression done on every build. Final regression done on final build. Unit level regression. Now, when has this been conducted? It has been done during the unit testing over there, right? Under white box testing. Integration level regression. And as well as system level regression. These are your different levels of regression testing techniques. Now I will say officially all the STLC phases have been completed. Now everything is clear. When everything is clear, I'll try to start a new topic. There are all these many. There are all the different levels. Say like you test engineer working only on that corresponding build, then you'll only do a normal regression at a time. You're not going to do all these. One thing, remember, test engineer will not do all testing techniques by one test engineer by himself. Right? They will do all differently. When you are doing a normal regression for that particular build, it will be your regression testing. Now, if lead has given me a corresponding build, I will do my regression testing for that build itself. So you're doing your regression testing, I am also doing my regression testings over here. Alright? So that is what it is. You're not going to do all the testing techniques, right? That is not at all possible. Do remember that. It is not at all possible. The tasks are being assigned to different test engineers. That is why we have roles and responsibilities. That is what it says, roles and responsibilities. Your role is to do only functional execution. My role is to do a regression testing, build regression, normal regression. Now, Sindhu ma'am is going to do a final regression at the last, only for once she'll be doing it at that stage, just before the product is going to be released. At JP, all we three are not going to do all the three works. That doesn't make any sense. Neither we are not even possible to do all that work. Now, developer is not going to develop the entire application, right? He's not going to do entire application like this. Not going to write coding part for everything. He's going to write only coding part for the header section. So that part I will be writing test case, executing it. Giving it to you, you will do the review of it, do any regression if possible in there, and so on. Yes, once the bug is resolved, we have to do regression. Now the bug is resolved only for the part of the build, or see, this will be my part of the build. This will be one part of the build. This will be one part of the build. Say like this part is another build. Extreme right will be another part. I put Facebook, which is easy for us. Oh, already logged in. So here is the Facebook page. This section is one part of the build, right? This is one part here, which is being developed by developers. You will be doing testing for this part and so on. Only that part you'll be doing, right? Defect raised will also called as build regression testing for build, which is inside this part, right? Extreme to the left. I'll divide the page into three here for your purpose. First, second, middle is the second, extreme left is your what do you call it? One part, middle section is one part, extreme right will be your third part, which I divided into in that manner there, right? So each person developer will develop its own part of the page. Test engineers are there for you teams, and so on over there. So do remember, you'll not do that is not possible also for you. You can experience in a mark, we are also not able to do all that thing. Clear? Yeah, ma'am. Is it clear? Right. Now, the next topic which I'm going to start is not only new for you, it is evenly new for me also, which is I'm trying it, which I was going through in the afternoon session, right? That is Jira, right? So this is a new topic, not only new for you, evenly new for me also. Jira software, which is an agile management tool. Now, in that case, how many types of tools are there? Let us discuss a small topic here. Types of tools. How many types of tools do we have? Any number. You can use your own lucky number also. No, it is not on open source. It is a commercial one. I'll come down to that. Our topic small discussion about the types of tools we need to have. No, those are software. We have only 4 types of tools. The names what you are taking, Selenium, QTP, do come under, that is Selenium, QTP or UFT and so on. These come under your functional tools. There are performance tools, second one, load runner, silk runner, JMeter and so on. Yes, JMeter also comes under performance. Test management tools, which we are going to talk about, Jira, quality center and so on. There is another one called defect management tools. Here you can use QC for your management purpose, Bugzilla also and so on, right? So these are your types of tools under which we are using some software, right? Like that. You're learning Selenium later on. Today we try to get into the Jira tool. If I'm comfortable in teaching you, I will give you much more clearly, right? I was even trying to do Bugzilla also. That we'll talk about later. If I get it through, I will teach you even Bugzilla. Otherwise, we'll be closing our topics at Jira there. Right. And we said Jira is a management tool which comes under management tool. Which management it is? It is purely for Agile. That is why it says, as when you read some notes anywhere from net, you get it. It is an Agile management tool, mainly used for. Right. So here we are going to try to look out for installing and configuring of Jira tool, creating some projects in it, create and add users into that particular Jira project. So where we discussed about epic user stories and sprints in our Agile, so that we are going to create them again over here, right? Creating a sprint in the Jira. I have used some navigations. Now, however I went on through, I kept on typing it over here, which I'll be forwarding it to you all like this. So you can evenly do the practice session. Correct. So this is the navigation which I created. I did it, right, where we are using an URL, which I've kept it evenly for your comfortableness. Otherwise, directly Google and type Jira software and move on with that, right? And for your information, this is not a open source. These are all your, apart from Selenium, the rest of the part are all your commercial tools. Right now, which is onto your notepad, right? I did not yet typed anything. I'm not even talking about all the tools which are in the market currently, whichever we typed it on my notepad. I'm talking about that because Mr. Gopal asked, it is an open source or not. Apart from Selenium, the QTP, the load runner, silk runner, Jira, quality center, or a Bugzilla, all do come under your commercial tools itself, not an open source. So for that purpose, we are using a trial version. And again, you see the URL is also try only, right? Somewhere around 1 week to 10 days it works, this account for you, right? So I'm using this URL for our navigation itself, right? Otherwise, you want to go with Google, Jira direct type Tuscany, you will find it over here, right? So otherwise, you click it over here, try it for free. The link which I gave it to you, try cloud, it comes back to the same position. Choose one, Jira software, not the documentation or the help documentations here. We don't need help desk, neither any documentation. We don't need that. We just need only software. We are going with choose one. Right? So either you type it in Google, otherwise you use my link there, all do come under the same. Right. So here I'm using my email ID where I'm signing up with my Gmail account itself. Otherwise, you can use your own account itself over there. And it claims a site at a website it requires where it ends with so and so. I use plenty of like these over here, right? So I'll be using a uniqueness for this particular application, which I want to use it. I create an document especially a document for our agile purpose so that we can use it into our what do you call Jira software over here, right? So the product backlog, as a product owner, I created some epics, some titles, and the user stories and their titles which I prepared it over here for you, right? And considering the title as something like shopping website, e-cart website, something like that, right? And the customers, some customers will be creating those users also who can access this web page, right? Something like that, we'll create it later on, right? Each sprint, which we evenly planned it out, who can access the sprint? The developers, the QA engineers, the product owners, the scrum masters are all can work onto that sprint. That will also we'll create it over here. So each epic and their story descriptions over here, and the story titles are like this, right? And the tasks where we'll be creating them, QA tasks and the developer tasks also, right? Which I created separately for you here, especially for this software, right? We'll come down. Now we are talking about a shopping website, so I will create something like e-cart, which is already there. Right, it is not there. It should be a uniqueness. You can even have a look here. Try cloud, choose one, right? I'm using a Google account. Otherwise, you can create a new account for Jira for yourself separately. You don't have any issues, you can. Simple. When you use your Google account, they keep on sending you mails from the organization. And this Jira is being developed by the organization called as STLC. This is an Australian-based company, especially for Jira itself. Right. So I gave a site name with this eCart. It ends up with .atlassian.net. Now you can evenly use this URL also in order to log in for yourself there, right? Agree and sign up. All right. So there will be a few questions asked where we can skip them. We don't need all that. We can skip them, where it will ask us to evenly invite some users, creating them. We can do that later also after entering into that. Right. So these are some questions which we don't need them. We'll skip everything. Now, as per our need, they will be building an software for us, right? It is not going to be ready-made like kind of a thing. They will build it as per our need based on our questions. Here it is asking us to build a team for ourselves. We can do it later, right? I'll skip here. Now you want to do it, you simply add their email address, right? I will skip right now. I don't need to do all these things also. Right. So this is my template selections over here, where I'm going with my software. I'm using a Scrum. There are different templates: bug tracking, Scrum, and Kanban. Right. So look-wise, it keeps on changing. So the regular part we go with is Scrum here, which is easy, classical model template, which is all about. Right. So we'll create a project here. We said eCart our project, shopping website. So we will evenly call it as the same thing. eCart shopping website over there, and where it takes a keywords, key letters of the first project letters over there. Right. You want to change the template from Scrum, you can change it and go for create. Again, tutorials, which we don't need it. So first time you're doing it, you can go with the tutorials. It's up to you then. Right. This is your first page, which looks like this, with the project title, right? The backlog, which has been by defaultly created, where we don't need to create separately again backlog. As soon as the project is created, the backlog is created for you, right? Here you have some versions tab, the epics tab, where we'll be creating some epics. Under the epics, where we'll be creating some issues. Here, issues are nothing but this is the list. It can be tasks issues, bugs issues, epic issues, or a story issue. It can be anything over here. Especially in Jira, everything is called under issue. Either you're creating a bug, they'll be calling it as an issue. Either you're creating a user story, they'll call it as an issue. You're creating a task, creating an epic, everything is being called as issue over here in Jira. So we'll come down to that again, right? So we created a project. As we said, we are supposed to add some users. So the user list, which we skipped from the initial page, will go from the admin point of view and do the user creation for our project. So at the top left corner, you have an apps button kind of a thing. To the top left corner, before your Jira software is here, before that there's an apps button. Click onto it. You switch on to your administration part. Right. So under user management, you come down to users, right? To the left, you see under user management, there are users. Now you start giving some email addresses so that these people can come down into a team where they can get some roles to do the work process onto that corresponding project or to the corresponding build. Now, right? I'm creating a user called abc@gmail, xyz@gmail, 123@gmail, right? So I created 3 users and I will say invite team members. Now the user who's having an account like this, whenever they log in with that user, right, that email ID, they will have that information onto the Jira software. Whenever the abc@gmail user logs in into the Jira, they get this information related to the project over there. Now he'll be having his own task displayed onto the page, right? So this is where we create users and invite them into our project, right? We'll go back now. At the bottom left, you see the app button again. Click it on it, Jira software. You come down to Jira software. At the top left, you will find again here, right? So we are here. Where is our project? Okay, the previous one which I worked, which I was doing it, that project is being viewed here. Yes, our eCard project. This is our project. right? A classic software with an Arvind Rao as a lead, right? So you go to the project settings over here, you find the project information like this, right? This is how it looks like, the entire project settings user. Right. We'll come down to the backlog page, which is called as a dashboard in the project, in the Jira topic here, right? So what all we did, we selected the Scrum, given a project name called as what you call eCart web application. We skipped our tutorials over there. To invite users, we went on and created those users and invited them into our project. Enter their email IDs and click invite members. So I came down back to our project main page. That was all about my installing and configuring, creating project, inviting the user, creating users and inviting them into our project. This was the first part. Now we'll come down to our creation of epic backlog, which is by defaultly been done once the project is been done. So I will remove it from here. Then we are supposed to create some user stories. This is your task. We will do this now. Now select the project which is created, click on backlog, click on version tab. We are going to create a version number, and then we'll create an epic over here, right? Epic name and the summary, right? So version, where we create a version here, create version. So it's an eCart 1.1 as a version over here, right? So for the remembrance here, then I'll say it as create. So version number has been created, eCart 1.1 as the version, right? Now for this version, we will create an epic here, right? Click on the epic tab, you get create epic over here, right? And creating issue type. You see here again, all the tasks, stories, bugs, epics are all coming under issues only. Now, whichever you select, that keeps on changing. Currently, we are into epic, so our issue type is epic, and the epic name. We'll copy it from here, eCart, right? This is my epic over here. So the epic is the highest business value for a new user able to buy the items from new shopping website. The shopping website, that is the epic which I typed it. I'll give it as like this here, right? eCart underscore 1.1, that is referencing to that is for my reference over there, and the summary is this which I put it as, which I copied it from there. You are having multiple epics, you can select this checkbox. Create, when you click create, another epic comes on where you can create multiple epics over there. So currently we are having only one, so I will give only one epic over here, creating. Right. So the epic is being created with a uniqueness over there, US underscore 001, which is for my reference, which I'm taking it as, right? That is what it is saying. Now, once the epic is also created, the version is created and the epic is also created, right? Right. Version and the epic is being created. Now, under the epic, we are supposed to create some user stories where we will do it now. Now, in the backlog page, again, create issue, which I said there's a button at the bottom, a plus button kind of a thing over there, that we will put it over here, right? At the bottom, you see over here, under backlog, there will be a create issue kind of a thing. Either you click this, type it here itself, otherwise, you have a create button at the top. When you click it, here you have it, the page. Again, it says issue, under the project called as ECAT. Now I'm creating a story over here. Now my summary over here, I'll put my title. My title of that particular user story, I'll put it under my summary, right? Again with my reference number, right? With the descriptions, I have put it over here, which I'll copy them and paste it over here. This is what my description is. Now, which is reporter, which my name is there here, right? Version, we have created a version, so select the version over here, right? If there is any epics over here, right? Assignee, you have a name, you can give it to that person, right? And you have an epic link also. Main thing, do remember you are supposed to give a epic link that is mandatory, which we have created, right? We haven't yet created any sprints. We will leave it right now. Later when we are creating sprints, we will link it into this part, right? So you have multiple user stories. We can create multiple user stories like this. Now I'm selecting create another checkbox, create, right. Another user story will come where I'll copy that, another title under my summary. This is another user story. My description is under right. My link, epic link is already been there. Version is also been given. Create. You have another one, you can do it here. So for our class, we'll just do it another last one for this. Right. Copy the descriptions from here. I'm reviewing the create another and create. Now it is done with the user stories. You can see the stories are being created at the bottom here, right? If you see the Excel sheet which I use my keywords, right? Now it is a shopping website where it is used for a business purpose when a new user is able to buy items from that particular website. What is he going to do? The title is first time user can do the payments as a guest user without registration. So what is the description which I have put? As a first time user to the shopping website, I want to buy a list of products so that I can use the product I buy. So I've used some keywords, right? As a I so, right? So these are some actions being performed for this particular title under the epic. Epic, which has multiple user stories over there, if you remember. Oh, అది ఇంకా చాలా దూరం ఉంది సార్. ఇంకా స్టార్టింగ్ లోనే ఉన్నాం మనము. టాపిక్ తొందరగా క్లోజ్ చేయాలన్నట్టున్నది మీకు. Bug report. As I told you, I am also the first time user to this Jira. ఇవాళనే నేను రిజిస్టర్ చేసుకొని ఇవాళనే నేను మీకు క్లాస్ చెప్తున్నాను. నాట్ ఈవెన్ ప్రాక్టీస్ ఆల్సో ఫర్ 2 times per month. Right. So user stories are being created. Now where's our navigation here? Right. In backlog page, create some issue, that is stories. Give a summary, description, assignee name, version, epic link, which we have done it right now. Right. Now creating some sprints over here. In backlog, click on create sprint button. We'll create default name and a blank page for ourselves. Now where is the sprint here? That we will have a look. Right. At the extreme right, and just above your stories, user stories, which you have created, just onto the extreme right, you will find create sprint, or otherwise you have it at the dots here, right? To the extreme right, you have it here. Create sprint. The default which has been created, which was empty earlier, now which I clicked on create sprint, and another new has been created, right? Which we don't want it. Delete sprint, confirm. The default one which is already here, we can use it. No, you want to have another one, click on create. Second sprint is being created, first one and the second. So we'll use the first one. Now how do we use the sprint here? In backlog, click on create sprint. We'll create with the default name and blank, which has already been here. There are two blanks, two sprints here with two by default names with a blank, right? Now what do? They said to add the story into the sprint, drag and drop the story into the sprint. Simple, you just need to drag it and drop it, right? That is what you're supposed to do it over here, right? So this is what I have. I have added two stories into one sprint and another story into another sprint. I can add it. This is how I will be doing it. So most of the part in the Jira tool is all about drag and drop options only, right? Will come down. So this is where we done our part. So we dragged it and dropped it into sprint over there, where we added our user story into the corresponding sprint. Now we are supposed to start the sprint. Click on start sprint. Simple. There is an button over here to the right. Start sprint over here. This is what it says. Right. Click on start sprint, give any sprint goal and click start. That is what it says here. Start sprint. Right. Now sprint goal, what is it? User story need to be two user stories need to be completed, something like that. And when we were discussing in a theory agile over there, I said sprint is a duration of 2 weeks, 1 to 2 weeks. I said over here, when you see it in your Jira tool, they say 2 weeks, but by default when you click the drop down, there is starting from 1 week also, but that doesn't work, but it is of 2 weeks. Starting date, ending date will come down little later on over there. So we will start here now. Right. Now you see the to-do list, that is yet to do, in progress, and done. So these are the three columns what we have. Now under user story, where we need to perform some tasks, where we will create them over here, right? So in order to create tasks for this particular user story and for this particular user story, right, we will do it. And all these are being viewed under active sprints. In backlogs, you'll be finding a version, epic, and the story creation. The story can be added into the sprints. Where the sprint needs to be worked, we come down into active sprints. This is where we do. To-do list, we will create it here. These are our tasks. These are QA tasks. These are our tasks. And these are our developers' tasks over here, right? Which we'll create them. Maybe not all these, few we will create. Right. Now, in order to create the task, just click on the story which is under to do. Right. Once you click it, you find a page here where first time user, the story title which we used it over here, right? Under the title you will find create a subtask, right? When you click it, now the subtask will specify it over here, right? Now as a QA, that is test engineer, we will create our tasks first. Now what will be our first task? That is, first task is to create test case. You want to create another one, you just keep on working. I will do some review of test case here. Right? What all tasks we have more? Test case, execution we will do, and test reporting we will do. Regression testing we will do. Bug reporting we will do. These are few tasks which are supposed to be done by the test engineer, QA engineer. Now, if at all I am creating some developer stack for the reference, developer, what is he going to do? First thing is designing it. Coding. Unit testing. Right? Few are the tasks for our developers over here. This will be done over here. Now, simple. Click on the close. And at the extreme right, you will find refresh button. Sometimes it will get updated by itself. If it is not, you have to do the refreshing over here. You see at the extreme right side. Right. Now, once I refreshed it, the tasks which are supposed to be done over here, the developer's tasks and the test engineer's tasks. Right. Now the user abc@gmail we set. Now that person is being logged in. Right. He has a, access to this particular web project called as eCard. Right. Now what is he going to do? He is going to prepare some test cases which is in progress. Right. Now what is the developers going to do? They're going to do the designing pattern first. Once the designing is being done, coding is being done, unit testing is being done, and environment, whatever the tasks they have it, right? All these things, if they have it, have been done, are in the progressing part. If the user is being done. Now, how do we know this task is being assigned to us or someone else? Engineer is click on the task. As a lead, I will give it assigned to. The person's names will be listed out over here, right? You will find the person's name here. Now, as a user, when I log in, so my task is to do the review of a test case. So one test engineer has been created a test case, which is under progress. Now, once it has been completed, right, you see, done. Creating of a test case is completed. Now, as a user, it is my time to do a reviewing of it, right? I cannot do the execution because it is still under the process of designing. It is completed where my developer is being done his complete coding part, and as well as the unit testing also it is completed. Then I'll do my review of a test case, execution of a test case, right? So this is how I'll be preparing it. Everything is being put like this here. To add subtask, which we have done, click on subtask, select a user under assignee, and so that you can add a user into that way. Now, creating a bug, here's your topic, Mr. Gopal. Go to the backlog page, creating an issue. Again, backlog is, bug is also an issue over there. Right, we will do that. So like when I'm trying to do an execution part, right, test case execution, suddenly we raise a defect, a bug is being raised for our. Now what do? I'll go back to the backlog. I'll click on create. Now my issue type is a bug, where I'll be giving a summary of the bug over here, right? Now I'm not able to think about anything else. I'll be thinking about our previous examples issues only, right? Which we said wrong error message displayed for our customer name, something like that. And the description is to display as So clearly I'm typing it, right? So this is what my description for that particular summary for my bug report, right? Reporter, that is me, which has been assigned to me, right? Version, that is the version we are working on to. Now here the JIRA does not have any severity. It has only priorities. Priorities also itself come under your severity, right? Which we take it as based on the defect over there. So our currently defect is medium, so we'll put it as medium, right? You have any snapshots related to that? You can drag and drop those snapshots over here, the attachments over here, right? Now again, the epic link is created. So this is what my bug has been created over here. Wrong error message displayed, right? For this corresponding test execution when we were doing it. Now we will evenly add this to my story, right? I'll come down over here. You'll see an error message, right? So this is the clear description which they have it over here, right? So what I'll do is I will report it to my developers. Under process it is, where my developer is, what is he doing it? Trying to do the rectification. When he gives back to me, when I do my regression testing, and it says it is done, completely closed, right? I'll close all my tasks over here. Reporting, bug tracking, everything is been closed. This is what it says. Update. So everything is been completed. You can see at the extreme right, everything is being scratched out. The tasks have been completed. This is how your JIRA is going to be used under Agile project.